Thank you for tuning into Radicards TV on Radicards.com. I'm your host, Patrick Garino, and today I've got Dan G joining us.
How's it going?
Hey, Dan.
How you been?
Good. How have you been?
Busy.
Awesome. Yeah.
busy.
End of year.
Yeah, end of year, end of the school year.
Yeah, there it is. What'd you bring for us today?
So, actually, this just came in the mail today. I picked it up on Twitter. Just made a comment that it was cool looking. The guy said, "I'll sell it to you," and it was very reasonable.
Okay.
So, this is a 2018-2019 Optic O Premium Kevin Durant. It's hard to say that it's a parallel because every card in the set is of this nature. It's like really sparkly and shiny. Sure. I think the parallel name is Scoop, but I could totally be wrong. But they're all numbered at 249. Apparently, it's a box set of this. It's a factory set of this year. They do this cool exclusive, I guess you would call it like refractor technology, but it's patterned and it's just a cool looking card. It's fun, I guess the guy was doing a box break of it and was just showing off some of the cards, and I thought that one was cool. And personally, I don't want to give away too much, but everyone is caught up right now, modern wise, with either the hot rookies, right, or LeBron James, and I'm thinking Kevin Durant is just getting pushed to the wayside, and he's probably easily, arguably, the second best player in the NBA.
Good time to buy.
Good time to buy, right? Not that this is like some kind of amazing, short printed parallel, but I thought it was pretty cool. And
that's all that counts.
Yeah, and so I was like, yeah, I'll take it.
So it's got that like Topps does a sort of similar format on some of their modern. It's like almost like a cross between Superfractor and Atomic Refractor.
Kind of, yeah. It's just patterned, and like their Mojo Refractor.
Right.
Panini with the Prism is, they have so many different variations, right?
So that one kind of mimics the 98 Precious Metal Gems design background of the circles.
Right.
I really like that a lot.
Right, and if you look at the back, you can see numbered, I think it's 3 of 249.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was like, sure, yeah, whatever, man. It's cool. I like Kevin Durant. Why not?
You got a good deal on it?
Yeah, I got a good deal on it. I mean, it's fair.
Yeah.
It's not like I stole it, and it's not like
Market.
Yeah, it's market. So
now, are you going to try to get other parallels of this card?
So, I mean, in one breath I say, pick up Kevin Durant. The other, I'm like, you'd be foolish not to pick up LeBron James.
Yeah.
But at the same time, his stuff is it's just a little crazy right now.
LeBron.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants it.
Yeah.
His at this point, his performance doesn't impact anything, right? He still commands huge dollars.
Uh-huh.
And so I looked into what it would cost to pick up the LeBron, but it was a little more than I wanted to pay for a card number 249.
Sure. And that's just one.
Yeah, 249. That's just one.
It's just one card number to 249.
Right.
Not like that's just of like thousands of them.
Right. And I may be kicking myself in the head later on. It's happened more than once.
Can't get it all, man.
Should have been like, I should have got it. But now, what can you do?
So I have the same dilemma when I come across stuff on eBay that I'm like, man, it's only 150, $150. But I'm like, dude, that stuff adds up, man.
It does.
And I can't. If I had like a bigger pot to pull from, of course I'd be buying more of that kind of thing. But dude, I can't buy them all.
Right.
And so I've learned to like, it's okay to let stuff go by the wayside. Like you can't get it all, man.
Yeah.
And so enjoy these little smaller micro purchases and just enjoy them for what they are, because this purchase, although minute in comparison to say $150 Superfractor, I don't think you paid $150 for this, right?
No.
And probably nowhere near, right?
Nowhere even close. Yeah.
But it's just as interesting in a lot of ways as some of that stuff.
Oh, I agree.
And so we can have the dialogue not so much based on the monetary value, but just the intrigue of the design of the card, insertion ratio, print run, the player. These are the kinds of things you can pull from a card of any value. Mm-hmm. And so a card is $2, a card is $200. You can still have these really cool, interesting conversations about the cards.
Right.
They don't have to be the best and greatest and most valuable to have these kinds of dialogues. And in a lot of ways, I almost prefer to talk about this kind of thing over the high dollar stuff because everybody's talking about the high dollar stuff. Whereas stuff like this is like kind of forgotten in a way.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just not talked about.
It's
I don't think it's forgotten.
Well, like that.
Yeah.
It just doesn't get as much coverage is the thing. And so maybe forgotten is not the right word in that way, but because, you know, the conversation value on high dollar pieces is more common than, say, low dollar pieces like this, which is still interesting and fun stuff. It's nice to give coverage to like the lower value pieces.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm glad you brought that by. I know Kevin Durant is, he's at that level of like, it's one of the best players in basketball right now.
I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
You know, and he's so tall and so skinny, and you just don't see it, but at the same time, he's like a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. Glad you brought that by, man.
Sure.
Thanks for bringing it. Thanks for talking with Kevin Durant. Oh, that's a really cool design in the background. Man, look at that. I'll just move it around and see if people can see it there.
Yeah, it's pretty. That's why I bought it.
The other parallels, did they have the same cylindrical design?
So because it's the box set,
okay.
From what I understand, they are all with the same pattern.
All the parallels.
So the whole run. So
right.
I can't remember the number of cards in the set.
Okay.
But every card in the box set has that parallel. I would say it's very similar to the Mega Box, the Mojo refractors in baseball.
Sure.
Like the set is all of those. All of them will have that parallel, but you can put a complete set together. So
I like it.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Awesome. It's interesting that Panini, which is run by a lot of former Donruss employees, are using a so that design was Precious Metal Gems. That design was put on a product that Fleer made.
Right.
But Fleer went belly up, and so we've got a Donruss producing a card with a design that was initially created by... Because that is very Precious Metal Gemsy from '98. Like, I don't know if it's exactly the same, but it's similar. Mm-hmm. It's pretty. It's really nice. Thanks for bringing that by.
Sure.
Really like it. So my card recently in... I guess like a couple weeks ago or whatever, I saw this and I was like, well, I'll just keep an eye on it. This is a product from 2010 Topps, which I didn't buy any of, but I remember when it came out, it was a really popular Topps Series 1. And they did what were called hat logo manufactured relics, I think is what this would be considered. So this is the Frank Thomas, numbered to 99, but the logo is upside down. So kind of cool. I mean, I remember seeing these surface in 2010, and I never bought the actual legitimate version of this card. I only now have this error version.
Right.
It's the only one I've seen of all the examples I've seen of this card. All the other ones have the right side up hat logo. Okay, so on the back it says the embroidered patch featured on the front of this card was created exclusively for this product. So in fact, it is a manufactured product. Pretty good, though. Pretty good style. Of course, when you buy a hat with the White Sox logo, I think the Sox logo is a little bit bigger than that. I don't know.
I wouldn't know.
I just compare it next to next.
Yeah.
So right next to each other. But I, with patch cards and really fancy, intricate designs and things, I'm always skeptical of authenticity.
Right.
Which is why I tend to go to like the standard swatch. And I'd not buy the patch because I don't know if it's real. I'd rather just give me the standard white, gray, black, just flat color. Now I know it's not going to be tampered with, right? So in this capacity, I was like, well, let me just pull it out and see. And to me, it feels genuine. It feels like this was an actual manufacturer error. So I'm confident that what I have here is a legitimate product, not a touched product.
You have to kind of take it from the perspective of it's a manufactured patch, and that doesn't really, people aren't hunting those down the way
unless they're upside down.
Maybe, but I mean, the money would be in something bigger, right? I mean, if you're going to tamper, I would think that you would go with something bigger than a manufactured patch.
I mean, that's a good point. Yeah. But again, because I don't know, and the people who do stuff like that, they're so good at it, I can't tell.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen really good ones. I'm like, man, that looks amazing. And then I learn that it's like...
fake.
And I'm like, man, how did they do that? It's so good. So good. So, because of that, knowing that, I tend to go to like the standard the nothing swatches, and I've actually purchased a really fancy Frank Thomas card a couple of years ago, and it had a really fancy patch in it, and then when I got it back, the consensus around the community was it was altered. It was altered, yeah. And so I immediately returned it. And then it ended up surfacing 2 or 3 more times, and it was put into other people's collections, and they learned the same information. They sold it, and so it ended up in somebody's collection who doesn't seem to care, which is fine. It's not in my collection. It's all I care about. So what I ended up doing was just hunting for a standard black swatch version of the card, and I eventually got one for like a fraction of the cost. And I'm happy to have that version because I know it's real. It's not touched. So this, I believe, is an authentic, genuine version of the car that's just a mishap in manufacturing. And what a cool piece.
Yeah, no.
You know?
So on that note of altering cards, I just recently saw that a Sidney Crosby, the Cup rookie, came that way. And BGS graded it.
No.
Yeah.
It's a high-end product.
It's a high-end product, and there's somebody had the before pictures, right, and then the after.
Same
pictures.
serial number.
Same serial number, right? Man. Different swatch, and apparently it was for sale in one of the major auction houses.
Well, you can't blame the auction house.
No, they didn't know, of course.
Because if it's slagged by a reputable grading company, I mean, hands up in defense at that point. You can't do anything. And so if it runs through an auction house, it's not the auction house's fault.
No.
They're not responsible for what happens in the market, like in that capacity.
But they do have the responsibility of once it comes up to pull it down, to notify the bidders.
If they know. Yeah. But if it's sold without knowledge,
I'm pretty sure people notified them.
Maybe.
It was a pretty big deal.
So,
I mean, because that's huge. I mean, hockey card-wise, that's a huge piece.
Sidney Crosby, almost anything is big. You know, and this one is serial number to 99. I don't know how many of the 99 have the upside down manufactured patch. This could be the only one. But
eBay 1 of 1.
Oh. Yeah, gives a crap, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, so that's another conversation. eBay 1 of 1. Does that really draw an audience to any auction? Does that help anybody want to bid on something because you put eBay 1 of 1 in the title?
I usually ignore it and move on.
Because to me, that actually draws my interest away because I feel like the seller's trying to deceive me.
As well as inflate the price.
Right, into buying the product. Yeah. And as an educated buyer, I just kind of sort through it like, dude, it might be the only one on eBay right now, but it's not the only one on eBay ever. Yeah. Okay?
And it's usually not the only one on eBay at that time.
Sometimes.
It's just, it's numbered to the jersey number, eBay 1 of 1. Oh, there's a little splotch over his face, eBay 1 of 1. I mean, they use it for everything. So that in the non-auto version.
Oh, yeah, because then people type in auto, the non-auto stuff comes up. So good SEO tactics if you want to do some black hat strategies. So that's it's another conversation, but we should discuss that sometime. That's interesting.
Maybe over a beer, right?
Okay. So this, cool stuff. I like this product. I didn't buy this card in 2010 when it came out because I felt like the market at the time was kind of inundated with manufactured patches and I wasn't paying attention to many of them. And I've acquired some along the way over the years with Thomas stuff. And he's the only guy who's the exception of I'd have any interest in buying it based on the price. And I'd still be interested in finding one of the other versions of this that has the right side up patch. I just haven't seen one in a while. There's that little window. Products come out and you get to find... There's that little tiny window where you get to see a lot of this stuff out of the gate.
Right.
And then it dries up, it's gone.
Right.
You don't see it anymore.
Yeah.
And so this is, one of those pieces that we saw for a couple of months, 2010. I haven't seen one really since this one. And it's been years and years.
Wow.
And, we're 9 years out of 2010 now. So it's kind of interesting to see kind of where the market's come. And I actually don't mind the design here. It's pretty nice.
I really like the manufactured stuff. I think it adds a new element to the cards that are out there. What I don't like is when you are opening wax and that is considered a hit.
A hit.
Yeah, and I'm just like, well, I guess, you go in full well knowing that that's what they're going to do to you, but it's kind of a chintzy way of...
Hey man, they're not forcing you to buy stuff.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
True.
Buyer beware. If you don't want the product, you learn about it later. That's your fault. That's what I say.
And they're going to keep doing that as long as people buy them.
You're darn right. Because it's a free market economy, and thank goodness for that. But this is, I don't mind this so much. And you know what? The thickness here is not so terrible. Like, it's
Oh yeah, some of those are.
Some of those can be pretty thick,
and they weigh a ton, and it's tough.
And designs, some of the designs are just, they're not good, but this one's simple enough. And there's a version of this card with Thomas that features the A's logo because
that's cool.
At the end of his career, he played with Oakland for a little while.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun. But this is of that run, presently speaking, this is the only one I have. And I want to say that there's a version of this with either one of his team logos, and it's like an American flag type version of the card. I want to say that came out of this too, if I can recall correctly. It's been some years, but I wanted to discuss that because this was a nice little ad for my collection. I feel like the Thomas acquisitions are slim. They're slimmer now, as I've grown into the sort of advanced level of this is advanced tier of collecting in that way. And I quit buying modern for the most part because there's just so many cards, so many. And so I it's been like, well, let's just focus on career year stuff. And this is not a career year card because he had already been out of the game for a little while, and so
in 2010.
Oh yeah, he's gone. So Toronto for a minute.
Yeah.
He like jumped back and forth like Oakland, Toronto, Oakland.
But didn't he want to retire as a White Sox? Didn't he go back to Chicago?
He didn't.
He didn't. Okay.
Griffey went back to Mariners.
Right.
Ichiro, I think, went back to Mariners.
He did.
Like this happens. So that covers it. This is 2010 Topps Series 1. And it's Frank Thomas, the upside down logo error version of the card. Which I don't know if it's one of one or if there are other versions of the 99 that were printed this way. All I know is that serial numbered 52 out of 99 is one of the ones that's got the hat logo upside down.
Cool.
So you have it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Dan, for joining me.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for tuning in to Radicards TV on Radicards.com. I'm your host, Patrick Greeno. And until next time, enjoy collecting.
Take care.
If you like this content, please subscribe. Thank you. Enjoy collecting.